Mark Zuckerberg wasn't planning on being noticed that day. Dressed in a plain gray hoodie, jeans, and sneakers, he blended seamlessly with the crowd at a modest tech conference in San Francisco. The event wasn't one of those high profile gatherings packed with media and investors. Instead, it was a local showcase for small startups and aspiring entrepreneurs. People who had dreams as big as the tech moguls they admired, but lacked the resources to bring them to life. As Mark wandered through the rows of makeshift booths, he listened intently to the pitches and ideas. Most people didn't even realize who he was. They just assumed he was another attendee. He liked it that way. It gave him a chance to see things as they truly were, without the polished presentations or overly rehearsed pitches that came with his usual meetings. Toward the back of the room, Mark noticed a small booth that didn't seem to be attracting much attention. A young man, probably in his late 20s, was nervously adjusting a prototype on the table. The sign above read, Dream Cart, revolutionizing local deliveries. The man looked tired but determined, his eyes scanning the crowd in search of anyone willing to stop and listen. Mark approached the booth, curious. The young man, whose name tag read Ethan, looked up and hesitated for a moment before greeting him. Ethan began explaining his idea. DreamCart was a hyperlocal delivery platform designed to help small businesses compete with major corporations. The app would allow local stores and restaurants to connect with nearby customers, ensuring faster delivery times and lower fees. Ethan spoke passionately about his vision, but it was clear he'd faced his share of challenges. His voice carried a hint of frustration, and his prototype, a simple tablet with the app running, looked like it had been through countless hours of testing. Mark listened closely, occasionally nodding as Ethan talked about the struggles of securing funding, competing with bigger companies, and trying to make his vision a reality. He mentioned how he had quit his full-time job to pursue this dream, putting everything on the line. But Ethan wasn't just pitching an app. He was sharing a story of a local bakery that had nearly gone out of business before DreamCart helped them reach more customers, a florist who could finally compete with larger chains, and a community that thrived when small businesses had a fighting chance. Mark could see the determination in Ethan's eyes, but he also saw the weariness. The young entrepreneur was clearly running on fumes, and the weight of carrying his dream alone was beginning to show. When Ethan finished his pitch, Mark smiled and asked a few pointed questions about the app's scalability, revenue model, and user base. Ethan answered as best he could, though it was clear he didn't have all the answers yet. "Thank you for your time," Ethan said, assuming the conversation was over. He didn't recognize Mark and figured he was just another curious attendee. But Mark didn't walk away. Instead, he pulled out a small notebook and began jotting something down. Then, he handed Ethan a card with his personal contact information. "I think your idea has potential," Mark said. "Let's talk more next week. Reach out to me." Ethan stared at the card, his mouth slightly open in disbelief. The name on it read, Mark Zuckerberg. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. This wasn't just any attendee. This was one of the most influential figures in tech, standing at his booth, showing genuine interest in his idea. The following week, Ethan sat nervously in a sleek conference room at Meta's headquarters. Mark had kept his promise, and now Ethan was presenting DreamCart to a room full of executives and investors. This time, he was more prepared, having spent days refining his pitch with advice from Mark himself. After the presentation, Mark stood up and addressed the room. Ethan's idea isn't just innovative, it's necessary. It has the power to transform local economies and empower small businesses in a way we haven't seen before. I believe in DreamCart, and I'm prepared to invest. The room erupted in applause, but Ethan could hardly process what was happening. Mark wasn't just offering funding, he was offering mentorship, resources, and a platform to scale DreamCart into something far bigger than Ethan had ever imagined. Months later, DreamCart had become a rising star in the tech world. Local businesses across the country were using the platform, and Ethan was receiving messages of gratitude from entrepreneurs whose lives had been changed. As for Ethan, he never forgot the moment Mark stopped at his tiny booth and took the time to listen. It wasn't just the investment or the resources that had made the difference. It was the belief that someone like Mark Zuckerberg saw value in his dream. The story of DreamCart became a symbol of hope for struggling entrepreneurs everywhere. A reminder that sometimes all it takes is one person to believe in you, and that belief can change everything. Thank you for watching till the end. I hope you enjoyed the story if you did. Don't hesitate to like the video and share it with your friends too. Subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell for more fascinating stories.